from PRX.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and friends beyond the binary, it's time for the podcaster who ideally is, trees in multiforms. Holy moly, excuse me, trees in multiforms. Like this podcaster, he's got a voice as creaky as a wooden door on a TARDIS. If you don't know what I'm talking about, that's good because then you don't have to pay attention to me, which is one of the goals of this show. The other goals are to keep you company. Well, then there's take your mind off stuff, keep you company, create a safe place, kind of earn your trust in a way that you don't have to pay attention to me. But really, keep you company while you fall asleep because it's time for Sleep With Me podcast that puts you to sleep. Hey, everybody, before we get to the episode here, this episode was recorded a little while ago, and I just wanted to let you know that I'm here to create a safe place, I'm not perfect. I'm doing the best job I can, but I'm here to create a safe place for you, and that means that Black Lives Matter. So if you're looking for support for yourself or to support the Black members of our community, you could find resources and links in the show notes. Thanks so much. All right, everybody, it's time for the Sleepy Supporter Zone, the one part of the podcast I need you to hear so it's brash, it's loud, and it's what empowers me to bring you this podcast twice a week for free. And I want to thank Deborah, who supported Brooklyn, and Becca Boom, who supported Sunsoil. Both of them tagged the sponsors and tagged me on Twitter. I really appreciate it, almost as much as I'm appreciating those Brooklyn and towels I've been using. If you support a sponsor, make sure to tag them and tag me. Let them know their support of the show is important to you and that you found them through Sleep With Me. Not through my speaking directly, and then I can try to thank you on the Sleepy Supporter Zone, like Deborah and Becca. Thank you so much. That's the first part of the Sleepy Supporter Zone. The second part of the Sleepy Supporter Zone is you getting the support you need, whether it's for mental health, self-care, supporting change, and showing that Black Lives Matter through your actions. There'll be links to organizations in the show notes. You can find them right in your podcast app if you click on our podcast. And the third part of the Sleepy Supporter Zone is something I support, and we're just finishing up trying to raise money for Waterwheel Foundation. But if you want to go to sleepwithmepodcast.com/waterwheel, if you support the Waterwheel Foundation, they support a bunch of different great causes. Currently, they support a new cause every single week, and you can find that through sleepwithmepodcast.com/waterwheel, and that is the end of the Sleepy Supporter Zone. Oh, Mystery Bard, a lot of people help out on the show. Who are they?
Posty poster son sounds like an earful. Wrote the theme song. Edits episodes. Carl W. the legend. Also edits episodes. Kenny, Scotty, and Jennifer. Eric and the team at Astound are on the website. I am the mystery bard. I do the lullabies, yeah. I do commissions at jonathanmann.net. I'll write a song for you. Any reason at all. You can tell me the story and I'll make it personal. You see the kindness shine straight on through when the listeners form their own Facebook group. Keith, Stacy, Sarah, Julie, and Jennifer. These are your moderators. You can support your scooter on Patreon. Buy the merch and support the sponsors. You can find anything you want at sleepwithmepodcast.com. And we're so proud that we could dance. We're raising money for the Waterwheel Foundation, and Scooter might get a perm.
Thanks, Mr. Bard. Now it's time to slow it down. And don't forget, if you share about the podcast, it's a huge free way to help the show, whether that's on social media, in your online forums or conversations, or, someone you talk to that, on a personal basis, or someplace like I don't use, like LinkedIn or something. I really appreciate it, and let's get on with the show. Hey, are you up all night tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep? Well, welcome. This is Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. We do it a bedtime story. All you need to do is get in bed, turn out the lights and press play. I'm going to do the rest. And what I'm going to attempt to do is create a safe place where create a safe place where you could set aside whatever's keeping you awake, whether it's thoughts, feelings, physical sensations, changes in time or temperature. Sorry, I got distracted. I apologize. I seriously apologize, listeners. I don't know if you have this experience at bedtime or daytime, but you're doing one thing and then your mind goes to somewhere else. I'm leaning in right now. And like another part of my brain said, Scoots, what about that thing we had to get done? And part of me, and I'm not gonna, I can be honest with you. And you might be a new listener. This might be new to you. Podcaster getting honest about his foibles. But yeah, one part of my brain just took off on me and said, it got my attention. It said, Scoots, we got to talk about this thing. And I said, and it started telling me all this stuff. I'm not while I was just talking there for the past 14 seconds or so. And that's not really fair because I'm really here to pay attention to you and try to be in the moment. I kind of got sucked out of the moment there. So I'm going to kind of reset and then maybe we'll come back to this. We do with bedtime story. All you need to do is get in bed, turn out the lights, and press play. I'm going to do the rest. That's right around. I'll go into what happened too. All you need to do is get in bed, turn out the lights, and press play. I'm going to do the rest. So what I'm going to attempt to do is create a safe place where you reestablish it. In this case, where you could set aside whatever's keeping you awake. It could be things you're thinking about. Past, present, or future, right? We just got an example of how that happens even during the day. But for me, at night, it's even more amplified. It could be feelings or emotions coming up for you. But I'm trying to have a grounded thing of for me and say, hey, well, it's realistic, Scoots. Everybody gets spun out and distracted, even sleep podcasters. So you can't be having feelings about anything, though. And they might just be coming up. You don't even know where they came from. And I'm here to keep you company through that. It could be physical sensations, whatever it is that's keeping you awake. I'd like to take your mind off of that and keep you company as you drift off. And that's my job. Now, if you're new, before I get to the distractions, distracting you with my distractions, let me set up a couple things for you if you're new, because this podcast is very different and it could throw new listeners off. Understandably, you might be coming to this show skeptical or doubtful or confused. And those are all legitimate ways to view this podcast at first, because it is different. Of course, if you can't sleep or you have trouble sleeping, you say, what is this person going to put me to sleep at doing what? Or what are they up to? Or, that's totally normal. Also have creaky, dulcet tones and pointless meanders. Did I say that? Am I so distracted? That's how I do this. I create a safe place by sending my voice across the deep, dark night using lulling, soothing, creaky, dulcet tones and pointless meanders, superfluous tangents. So that's not everybody's cup of tea at first. Now, most listeners say, give it a few tries and see how it goes. And the best way to listen to this podcast is to barely not listen or mostly barely pay attention. Just imagine we're out of focus a little bit. You're saying, Scoots, you're coming at, I don't really need to, you don't have to hold my words in your ears. You could just let them bounce off. I call it reflective listening. There's active listening and all that stuff. Reflective listening, I think this is the only example other than when you're not, I'm sure there's people that are, intentionally reflective listening, but those are people on a mountaintop or under a Bodhi tree. But this is, for regular, everyday people, is you just let my words bounce off your eardrums. You say, okay, brain, don't worry about it. You don't have to turn the synapses off or whatever they're called, the ganglias or whatever. But, just turn it down. You let those words hit my eardrums that Scoots is saying. And, turn your interpretation and your understanding, bring it down to whatever. Put it on, we don't necessarily have sleep mode, but, passive mode. Because imagine if you told somebody, I want to try to listen to you passively. They'd say, especially if it was someone that you're supposed to listen to, they'd say, what do you mean passive listening? So this is a bit like that, but it's sounds better. You say, well, it's reflective listening. Oh, you're going to reflect back what I'm saying? Well, actually, literally, I will be doing that, but I'm not exactly sure where the sound waves will go. I'll be reflecting your sound waves or my eardrums. My whole body actually reflects sound waves. I learned this, for on YouTube or something. But so yeah, we'll be reflecting your sound waves. What was the question? Oh, it's supposed to new listeners. So kind of give it a few tries, kind of see how it goes, but you don't really need to listen to me. Sometimes this podcast really throws people off when they're expecting it to get somewhere or for things to start happening or for it to develop or go someplace. It will eventually barely go someplace, but we're more like a floating leaf on a slow moving stream. Than, some sort of action, like where you say, oh boy, wow, that's some current really moving that leaf. I say, well, no, I don't know. The leaf's going, is the leaf even? So you kind of barely listen. And here's the other paradoxical thing. I'm not really here to put you to sleep. I'm here to keep you company. And so there is no pressure to fall asleep. I'm here to serve you in a strange way by just talking and keeping you company. And then you can fall asleep whenever you want. So ideally, you don't even notice. That's the whole goal of the show. I take your mind off stuff. At some point, you fall asleep. I'm walking at your side. We're up on the clouds or whatever. And you say, you pretend, you're reflectively listening. Scoots. Okay. Yep. Podcast puts me to sleep. And then you drift off. That's the goal of the show. Now, here's the other thing. If you can't sleep, I'm going to be here till the end to keep you company. So that's the other side of it is if you can't sleep, I'm here because some listeners just can't sleep or you're waking up or you need a break during the day. I'm here for you. The show's complete. It's just a kind of complete that you don't need to listen to, really, unless you need to or want to. So podcast you don't need to listen to, and it's a podcast to put you to sleep that really more is here while you fall asleep. A sleep offering instead of a sleep solution, sometimes I say. So that's that. Oh, structurally, this can also throw new people off, so I want to acknowledge it. The show starts off with a greeting. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends beyond the binary, and in these episodes, trees in multiforms. Then we have business, and that's how we keep the podcast coming to you twice a week. Then there's an intro. And normally, it's the intro that throws people off. Sometimes people think that the business lasts the whole intro, but the business is just a portion at the beginning of the show. Then there's an intro, which is really long. It's about 12 to 20 minutes long. And it's me kind of keeping you company and just talking and introducing the podcast. And about 2% of regular listeners skip the intro. And like everyone else, when you become a regular, at first it's to introduce you to the podcast and to kind of get an idea of what you're in for, which is not much, a leaf floating on a barely moving stream. But if you become a regular listener, what it kind of happens is you say, oh, okay, this is how I like to consume sleep with me. And some examples of that are starting the podcast as you're getting ready for bed, whether it's brushing your teeth or changing your clothes or, turning down your bed or, doing some other bedtime activities that are chill, like sitting or laying or knitting or hooking, I've seen some people do something like knitting, but it's hooking. Maybe you're playing hooky and you say, well, I'm just going to take the day off and take a nap. That's awesome. Or maybe like you're doodling or, I don't know, whatever it is. Maybe you're petting your animal and they're drooling because I almost said drooling. Or some people are in bed and they start the podcast and as they're getting comfortable and getting settled. So the whole idea of the intro is to ease you into bedtime with something that's kind of familiar and comforting, but also different every time because my brain constantly adapts to sleep stuff and it says, okay, this is not, might work for me once. But I guess my philosophy of sleep with me is that it's different every time to get by those parts of you. And I think the beginning of the show is a perfect example of that, but I'll come back to that. But so that's the intro. So it could throw people off. Then there's business between the intro and the show. That's just part of podcast structure. Then we'll be talking about an episode of Doctor Who, series season 3, episode 2, Shakespeare Code, the Shakespeare Code. But it'll be if you've seen the episode, you'll say, wow, that was not much. That had Shakespeare and the doctor and Martha in it. Other than that, I don't know how accurate it was. And if you haven't seen it, don't worry. It'll be like a bedtime story. And actually a really nice one. You got Martha, the doctor, and Shakespeare in it. So you say, okay, I don't know who two of those three people are, but it sounds somewhat bedtime and story induced. And I say, you got it. That's what I'm here for. Then there's some thank yous at the end of the show. So that's the structure of the show. The reason I make the show is twofold. One, you deserve a good night's sleep. I want you to know that. And I'm here to try to provide that if I can. Because you deserve it. Your world will be a better place. Your life will be a little bit better. You'll be rested. And our greater world will be a better place. So you deserve a good night's sleep. The other reason I make the show is because I've been there and I know how it feels. And if I can relieve that for any of you or reduce it, that's my honor. And then, and that kind of leads into, I have a person, I have one of those brains that's going a mile a minute, and it's not always productive, and also needs a little bit, it's constantly adapting. And so even tonight I said, okay, well, I'm going to start the podcast intro, and I started doing it, and I got to this familiar part, and then I remembered someone wrote something on Reddit that was funny in a positive way. And people were kind of going back like, oh, good thing, Scoot. I like it when Scoot says press play. Don't forget to turn out the lights. Like people were, and I was thinking about that in a positive way. Then my brain said, what about that other stuff you got to finish getting done later? And I said, oh, yeah. I said, well, here's what I think. I like, this is while I was talking. I mean, that was like a part of the podcast that's kind of rote memory anyway. But that doesn't excuse it. It's just important. It doesn't mean it's wrong. It just means I fell out of focus there. And then it said, it was talking about this YouTube video I made to explain something about the Patreon feed to patrons. And it said, okay, this is what you got to do to improve that. And so then I started thinking, okay, then we'll do this and we'll do this. We got to get it done. And then I realized that I was spun out, like editing a YouTube video while I was trying to talk to you. And that's why I acknowledge and apologize, because I said, wait a second, excuse me, to-do brain. I got to get back to the listener who's trying to fall asleep. And that, sometimes I'm in a calm spot like I am today, an embracing and accepting spot. And I can say, hey, I know you want to get that done. And that's a concern of ours for later. Let me focus on the moment right now. And this person we're trying to help fall asleep. I respect that you want to get that done later. But I'm going to return to this moment. I'm going to let this person know what happened and just see how it goes. At nighttime, that conversation does not go that well. Also, there's like probably 40 or 50 voices. And some of them are from the far past and the far future, or fictional futures and pasts, saying, oh boy, wait till this, And so I know how it feels. So when you say, well, I just want to go to sleep here, could you give me a break? And the idea of the podcast is that's a tool in that to say, hey, let me just listen to me and I'll kind of take up your brain space here. But it has to be, in my opinion, a little bit different every time, because there's something about that going through that I wasn't in the moment. And I knew what I was going to say for the next 45 seconds. That my other part of my brain said, let's run with this. I got a memo for you to read. So I don't know. I mean, the other thing is, if you're regular listeners, you hear it. Like, this podcast is always incrementally evolving. And I'm growing as a person. So it really is an honor for me to make this show, because not only do I know how it feels, I don't know, like in serving you in some small way, it gives me great meaning, but it also gives me a lot of growth opportunities that I might not necessarily have. So I don't know, I'm here to try to take your mind off. So if you're new, yeah, the show's very different, but give it a few tries. There's nothing really to lose. It's a free podcast, right? And just see how it goes. And maybe the podcast doesn't work for you, but you say, well, I did like the doodling, and then maybe you'll try out another sleep podcast or something else. So just see how it goes. I really do want to help. I really appreciate you coming by. I work hard, I yearn, and I strive. And I really hope I can help you fall asleep. Thanks again. And here's a couple of ways we're able to bring you this podcast for free. Hey, everybody, it's Scoots. I don't know if you've ever thought about becoming a patron and then changed your mind or decided, nah, I don't want to. I don't want to be a rebel with the cause. I don't want to support a free podcast. I'd love to hear why. But I think I have some pretty good reasons why maybe you could think about it if you're in a position to do so. If you're not, this is an uncertain time. I'm just reaching out to the people that are in a place where you could afford an extra 5, 10, or $20 a month. So if you can't afford it, you get a lot out of the show. Those are the basic reasons to consider becoming a patron. And you say, oh, wait, only like 1 or 2 out of every 100 listeners becomes a patron. Well, maybe, do you have what it takes to do that? Do you listen to the podcast like 5, 6, 7 nights a week? Do you listen to 5, 10, 20, 30 episodes a week? Do you wait? Are you listening to the episodes on Sunday and Wednesday when they come out? Like you say, oh boy, do you love all intros? Do you want to listen to our exclusive patron-only series that $10 and $20 patrons are getting? But particularly if you listen all night, the patron feed is just way more designed for that. Or if you consume a lot of Sleep with Me and you want more selections, or you want story-only episodes, or you want all intros, see if you have extra $10 or $20 a month in your budget and go over to sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron. You get something back, but really it's what you get on the inside that you could feel good about, that you say, well, the podcast I rely on is going to be there when I need it and when thousands of other people need it too. So thank you so much, everybody. That's sleepwithmepodcast.com/patron. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends beyond the binary trees and multiforms, it's time for season 3, series 3, episode 2. The Shakespeare Code, and it starts out in London, 1599, but that always makes me think of 1989, the number, sound of the funky drummer, but this one is London, 1599. It starts with a candlelight and a little hint of romance as someone's playing like a lute or lyre or something with a very short neck, whatever the instrument is. And there's flirty words. Tonight is the night. Oh boy, and Lilith is the one, her smile like a summer bloom, as they say, as the gentleman caller says, or the singer. Say, okay, let's have a little kissy poo, and they go into her house is a little bit different. The gentleman says, this is different than what I expected, because there's some toil, boil, and bubble going, and his kiss transforms him. And there's Deerfinger and Bloomtide, and they say, wait a second, you have 2 mothers and you. And then they say, oh boy, trouble's coming before this episode. This is what this episode's going to be about. And we have the opening of the episode. This one is by Gareth Roberts. We open with TARDIS in action. Martha's kind of asking, well, how does this travel in time? Anyway, and the doctor says, hey, don't take any mystery out of it. Just, he goes, also, you don't want to know. Just hold on. Martha says, blimey. She says, did you have to pass a test to drive this thing? He goes, yeah, I didn't pass. So, goes, make the most of it. This is your only trip. And then they stop. He says, outside this door is a brave new world. Holy cow, get ready, Martha. It's going to be exciting. And she bites her lower lip, she says, okay, what am I in for? And she goes out the door first, and she says, what in the heck? Where are we? Doctor says, look around. And she goes, you got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. We traveled in time. And Martha's very inquisitive, so she says, wait a second, where are we? No, well, let me get an idea of this. When are we? And then we see some chamber pots. The doctor says, okay, before WCs is when we are. And she goes, yeah, I've worked, I worked in, so she goes, and she goes, is this okay? Can we just walk around? He goes, yeah. And she goes, what about if butterflies and changing the future? He goes, Okay, well, don't bother any butterflies, particularly Bernie. And she goes, what if I run into my, like, great-grandfather or something? He goes, are you planning on that? He goes, okay. Or she says, no. She goes, when are we again? This is London. He goes, yeah, 1599. And they kind of talk about the cultural traditions there. And she says, Jesus, is this like, this is a different world. And the doctor says, just walk around with confidence. Elizabethan England, it might be not as different as you think it is. They have recycling, water cooler moments, and then people, buskers, saying, oh boy, trouble coming. And then he says, in popular entertainment, doctor's very happy about this. Right down in Southwark, and they go past the London Bridge, I think, and it goes to the Globe Theater, brand new. But it's not, it's a tetradecagon, 14 sides, not a globe, actually. Containing, the legend, the man, the myth, the legend, Shakespeare. Let's see. Yeah, he's really, like, doctors are really, she's Shakespeare's in there. And he goes, Mr. Jones. She goes, Mr. Smith. And then they go in, we missed the whole performance, but everybody's clapping. Dr. Martha have clearly watched the whole performance. She's like, that was amazing, even though it doesn't smell great in here. And then she goes, where's Shakespeare? And she starts shouting, author. And then everyone else takes up. She goes, is that normal? And then we have a Kenneth Branagh-esque Shakespeare as opposed to like other Shakespeares. And she goes, whoa, boy, this guy's Branagh-esque, or however you say it. She goes, he's no ginger. And Scooch doesn't, not positive that Kenneth Branagh is a ginger, but she says he's striking. A bit different than his portraits. Then we see Lilith from the opening, and she has a Shakespeare, one of those Shakespeare action figures she's playing with. The doctor loves Shakespeare. He says, genius, 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 most human ever. And we get to hear him speak. And then it kind of turns out that Shakespeare's a jerk. He's yelling at the crowd, overconfident, I'd say, or brash. He says, be quiet to the crowd. And the doctor, Martha says, maybe you shouldn't have met your heroes. And he goes, yeah, that was great. He kind of just gives a hard time on a thing. But Lilith's work in his action figure, she seems to have some sort of power over his action figure. And he goes, I know what you're saying. Love's Labor's Lost. Just stopped at the end without the ending. And he goes, don't worry. All in good time. You can't rush your genius. And then Lilith says something to his action figure. He says, oh, yeah, no. Tomorrow night will be the premiere of the sequel, Love's Labor's 1. So don't worry about it. I think Lilith says something like timing's right or something tomorrow night. And then the doctor has a WTF face at that. He says, wait a second, something strange happened there. And then after everybody's leaving the play, the doctor and Martha are talking. She goes, I never heard of that. The doctor goes, yeah, it was a lost play, only rumored to exist, never turned up. No one knows why. She goes, could you get a mini disc? We could tape it and download, sell it or something. Doctor goes, no. She goes, yeah, you're right. And she goes, well, how come the play disappeared if he's talking about it? And the doctor goes, well, maybe we should stick around and find out. I thought we were just going to come and see a play as our first date that's not a date, or whatever the doctor likes to call these little journeys that he goes on. Then they're outside like the Elephant Inn and Pub, I guess. Upstairs, Bill Shakespeare's drinking with some of the actors. Dolly, the proprietor's kind of Dolly Bailey. She's flirting. Lilith works there. She's cleaning. And the actors and performers are like, dude, what do you mean we're going to do a brand new play tomorrow? We haven't rehearsed it. We don't even have the script. You're not even done. He goes, yeah, I'll finish it tonight. I'll get it to you in the morning. Then the doctor rolls in like, hello, hey, Shakespeare. And he goes, no. What are you, a super fan? No way, man. This is not the VIP hangout. Shove off. Then he sees Martha. He goes, like, you could see that he's a bit of a problematic person. And he sends the actors to sew their costumes. And he's like, oh, boy, hello, my sweet lady, kind of thing. Sit right down, and you'll hear a tale. But all eyes, sweet lady, so fitted, he says, such unusual clothes. Dolly goes, oh, what do you got, a new lad? And Martha has some comedy. She goes, verily, forsooth, egads. And doctor says, okay, don't talk like that. He goes, I'm the doctor of TARDIS. This is my companion, Martha Jones. He holds up the psychic paper, which Shakespeare sees through. Martha does not, though, so there's a little comedy there. Then we kind of learn about the ignorance, like, just like more problematic talk from Shakespeare. But Martha says, dude, this is not cool. Like, don't talk to me like that. Then this dude shows up, the master of revels. Oh, the doctor says she's from Fredonia. And he says, no, you're going to put a play on tomorrow night. That's against the rules. Like, you got to deal with the bureaucracy first, and I'm the bureaucracy. And, I wield my power as I see fit. You'll perform a play when I say your performance. And I'm going to go get a banning order. Love, Labor's Lost may never be played because you didn't ask my permission first. Lilith kind of bumps into him by accident, but she clips some of his hair for her own action figure. So we see that the power of her action figures is powered by, what do you call it? The power of the action figures is powered by real hair. And, then there's dramatic music. She calls to her mother. So she says, this bureaucrat's trying to cancel the play. And they go, no, it's got to be tomorrow. Her mothers are toil, boil, and bubblers, by the way. So they're around a cauldron most of the time. And they say, water damps the fiercest flame, splashy splash, and all the same. Head to the big swimming hole in the sky, bureaucrat, bye-bye. So the bureaucrat just instantly kind of heads out to the big bureaucracy and swimming hole in the sky. But the doctor, what is this about? Doctor's mind is, okay, so they go out, purple ring, fear not, purple ring, out to... Mystery solved. Oh, dear. All run out. Big farm. Lindley to the big farm. But the doctor's mind is blown by it because he says, this doesn't make any sense. He goes, this is just not, there's something missing here. He says, something doesn't add up. And then the doctor plays dumb. He goes, oh, it looks like this guy just decided to, head to a different, bureaucratic form of existence. And she goes, why are you doing that? He goes, well, this is the dark ages. If I played to my gut instincts, people would think it was toil, boil, bubblers. And she goes, well, what was it? He goes, toil, boil, and bubbling. Then we see that they're making a potion and they're using magic words around the potion, the Littlefinger, Bloomtide, and Lilith. Then we go back to Shakespeare's office room and Dolly says, hey, I got you a room, Sir Doctor, and Miss Jones. And Shakespeare's just trying to wrap his head around everything. And he says, and Martha says, listen, man, you got to respect people. And they say, yeah. Then he says, okay. And they says, geez, doctor, how can someone so young have eyes so old? And the doctor goes, I read a lot. He goes, oh, yeah. He goes, that's what I do. He goes, but he goes to make a smart reply. And he goes, you, Martha, you look at the doctor like you're surprised he exists. He's as much as a puzzle to you as he is to me. And Martha goes, bedtime, hit the road. And he goes, well, I got to finish this play, but I'll get my answers from you, doctor, and why you got this constant performance going. And then there's this ongoing joke. Doctor goes, all the world's a stage. He goes, well, I might use that later. And they go, nighty night. This is a part of the movie episode where my heart beat the strongest. Let's see. Because him and Martha goes, well, this isn't exactly a 5-star room. She goes, I don't have a toothbrush. The doctor goes, here you go. Venusian spearmint. I got one for you. And she goes, well, what are we going to do? And the doctor goes, she goes, there's only one bed. And the doctor goes, we'll make it work. And then they get in bed, like the doctor's lying his back thinking, or they both are. And she goes, so this is like magic. She goes, a little bit Harry Potter. And the doctor's already read book 7 before it came out. He goes, oh, so good. So many tears. And Martha goes, but is this real? And there's a building interpersonal tension during this scene, at least where I was projecting, thinking of my own feelings. But Martha says, okay, is it real? The doctor goes, no. He goes, not Harry Potter. And he goes, this isn't what we think it is. And she goes, well, this is, I just started, time travel's new to me. And he goes, it looks like it, but it's not. He goes, you're going to get in bed or what? So then they kind of try to, she goes, geez, with 2 of us in bed, tongues are going to wag. And I said, holy cow, am I sweating or is this just a TV show? And the doctor goes, well, he goes, there's no such thing as the energy that toil bubblers would use, humans would. He goes, so there's something I'm missing, something close. And this is when the tension, right, staring me in the face. Now they're face to face. I think like she's ready to connect. And the doctor goes, I'm missing something. Rose would know. Oh, my friend Rose. She always knows what to say. He goes, but you're a novice. Never mind. I'll bring you home tomorrow. And then Martha just goes, forget it. She blows out the candle. You don't get anything. And I said, oh, doctor, man, what the heck, man? And Martha blows out the candle. Then it goes to a commercial. And now this is like old school because this isn't on streaming. It's on DVR here, so I'm getting through it. Okay, so we come back, and Shakespeare's working. What is it? Oh, marionette. Okay, so we have candles. We have the window. We have the doctor. Shakespeare's working with a feather pen. There's a window behind him that Lilith opens up, and she blows in this green fog and says, go to sleepy poo, Shakespeare. And then she takes out not just an action figure, Shakespeare, but a marionette action figure. And she makes him start writing. So she's writing. The action figure has its own feathered pen. And so the action figure and that are writing. The doctor's kind of in bed, lying awake, thinking. We see again the window outside, and we see Shakespeare writing in kind of a robo Shakespeare mode. Then he falls asleep, and Lilith kind of pats his head. And then Dolly comes in. She goes, Will, what's going on in here? She goes, Lilith, what are you doing? Playing with an action figure of Shakespeare next to Shakespeare? That's weird. And she goes, no, I was just, and Dolly was ready to hang with Shakespeare. Lilith goes, I'll just take off. And Dolly goes, no, you won't. And then Lilith goes, you know what? You should go visit that bureaucrat. Bye-bye. So Dolly does that. But first there's like a bump, which wakes the doctor and Shakespeare up. Doctor and Martha hop out of bed, run in. They say, was there a bump, Shakespeare? He goes, Dolly went to go see that bureaucrat. And they go, what did you see? And he goes, and actually, I think they all saw it. Let me look at my notes again. Oh, wait, actually, it's playing live above me. Okay, there's Dolly and Lilith. There's the bumpy poo. And then Lilith, I think, flies out the window. Shakespeare wakes up, Doctor and Martha into the room. Martha sees her fly off into the moonlight on a broom. And, that's interesting. Full moon. Then it's the morning, a rooster crows. Shakespeare says, old sweet Dolly Bailey. Can't believe she left to go hang out with a bureaucrat. She had an enormous spirit. Again, they have the repetitive but Martha says, okay, we got the bureaucrat and the innkeeper. They're both connected to you, Shakespeare. And then a toil, boil, bubbler on a broom. And she goes, so don't you write about that? And the doctor goes, not yet. And Shakespeare goes, well, the architect of the globe used to talk about this, old Petey Peters. And then they go to the globe. Let's see. Dolly Bailey, architect, the globe, 14 sides. Why 14 sides? Doctor says, does that ring a bell? Why does it ring a bell? And Martha says, well, 14 lines in a sonnet. The doctor goes, yeah, words, shapes, tetradecagon. Shakespeare says, this is a theater. The doctor goes, well, theater is magic. Stand on the stage, say the words. He goes, if you empower that. And Martha goes, like your police box, a small wooden box, power on the inside. And doctor goes, like, Martha Jones, you work like Jean-Luc Picard, like deducing things and working out ideas freely. And they go, let's go talk to Peter. And Shakespeare goes, well, he's under the weather because he thought he saw those boiling bubblers. And they go, well, we're going to go talk to him. And Shakespeare goes, well, I'll come along. Then the actors come. Shakespeare goes, here's the play, Ralph, copy it, spread it around. And remember to project eyes and teeth. Queen could show up, even though she never does. Even says as if. Then Martha and Shakespeare have a go around because she says, dude, get over it. And he says, well, I think you're a royal beauty. She goes, whoa, Nellie, you've got a wife in the country. He goes, yes, but this is town. The doctor says, we can flirt later. Shakespeare goes, really? Is that a promise? And he goes, 57 academics just punch the air. Now move. Then the rehearsal's going on. They're like, Love Labor's won, the actors. Sequels are not good. And they go, the last bit doesn't even make any sense. And they kind of start running lines. They say, okay, Shad mocks hollow moon betwixt Dravidian shores. And then all of a sudden this wind starts blowing. Dravidian shores of linear 593016. They say, what in the heck is that? How is that a play? And then these special effects that actors weren't aware of come up, like a crow, and they call it a vile shade. And they say, that doesn't make any sense. Then the boil bubblers are watching. They go, that's too soon. We got to wait for the main play. And she goes, Lilith says, don't worry, it's rehearsal, Mom. Then we're back. They go to visit Peter. It takes a while to get to Peter's room, and they kind of talk about a little bit of Shakespeare's backstory. Like how he's been down before and he hasn't had it always easy. Martha kind of says, oh, okay, so maybe that's why you're covering up with your brashness, huh? And he says, well, let's change. He goes, yeah, it wasn't easy for me, even though you think Shakespeare has it all. He goes, the futility of this fleeting existence, to be or not to be. And he says, well, maybe that's a bit pretentious. Then they go back and forth about Peter's care, where in his room and his helper. And then, like, they start talking to him. The doctor kind of gets close, like, in a caring way. But Lilith somehow sees this in the cauldron. And she goes, that's the dude that was with Shakespeare. I thought there was something up. And then one of the moms, Bloom, she says, why is he visiting the architect? And the doctor says, Peter, I'm going to do a little mind meld with you. He goes, so let me comfort you. And let's go into the past. Remember, the past was just a winter's tale, just a story, okay? And he goes, tell me what happened. Then Lilith and they go, Mom, you got to get over there and figure out what he's doing. Littlefinger him. And then they go, Peter says, well, he goes, yeah, they told me to be 14 walls, 14 sides. And then they kissed me goodbye. And the doctor goes, well, where do they live? He goes, All Hallows Street. And then Littlefinger, the mob, not the character from the show, shows up. And she says, too many words. Martha goes, what in the double hockey sticks? And she goes, Peter, let's go. So Peter goes with her, like through a cauldron to another, like to a, peaceful place. And Shakespeare goes, I cannot believe what I'm seeing. You're a boiling bubbler. And she goes, who's next? And Martha goes, we got to get out of here. And the doctor goes, yeah, no. And she goes, well, who's first? Littlefinger. And doctor goes, if you're looking for volunteers, I'll go. Martha goes, no. And Shakespeare goes, doctor, what are you going to do? And she goes, no mortal has power over a boil bubbler. And the doctor goes, there's power in words if I can find the right one. And she goes, no one on earth knows who we are. And he goes, then what's good? I'm here. 14 stars of Rexel planet. And he goes, you're a carrier knight. And she goes, oh, no. And she has to go home. And then they go, how'd you do that? And he goes, old magic, like Earthsea, baby. Like Earthsea. He goes, power of the name. Because didn't you guys ever read that book, Legend of Earthsea, Ursula Le Guin? And they go, that's in the, oh, okay, sorry, doctor says. And she goes, Martha goes, but there's no magic. And doctor goes, science and magic aren't that far apart. Science is magic and math. He goes, they just use words instead of math, carrier knights. And Shakespeare says, for what? And he says, well, for getting Earth to go back in time, to back all the way to the beginning. Then back, the boiled bubblers are meeting, and Littlefinger says he knows us by name. And Lilith says, don't worry, I'll deal with it. You two go to the globe. It's almost time for the performance. Let's see, 14, very Earthsea. Deal with the doctor. Littlefinger not happy. Time approaches. So then they're back at Shakespeare's room. And the doctor just kind of says, okay, here's the carrier knights. They're not even supposed to be around. Nobody was sure if they're real or legend. And Shakespeare says, well, that's real. And they say, Martha says, what do they want? And he says, well, start Earth over. And they're just boiling bubblers, though. And they go, how? And doctor goes, possibly through words. And Shakespeare goes, my words? And they go, well, what were you doing with that carrier knight last night? And Shakespeare goes, finishing the play. And the doctor goes, well, how's the play end? He goes, boys, girls, friends beyond the binary, dancing, trees multiforms, funny and thought-producing, or funny and thought-provoking. He goes, but a couple weird lines I don't even remember writing. And doctor goes, well, that's it. It's a code. Love labors one. Combination of words. Globe's their energy converter. He says, the play's a thing. From Shakespeare, hinty, hinty, who. Then we go to the play. Let's see. That's the code. Play's a thing. Oh, then we have the, narrator getting the play ready to open. This is where we last left off. Love labors lost. Will love labors be won? And the two moms are in the audience. Then the doctor's looking over a map with Martha saying, okay, there's All Hallows Street, I think. He goes, we'll track him down. Shakespeare stopped the play. He goes, all these years, he goes, I thought I was the cleverest man, but you, doctor, I know nothing next to you. Martha goes, okay. It's don't complain. He goes, no, I love it. I love it. Shakespeare says, good luck, doctor. And then Dr. can't let it go. Because good luck, Shakespeare. Once more onto the breach. Wait a second. And the doctor goes, keep moving. Let's see. Love labors. Play. Okay, then we go to the play. The moms have a crystal ball. And then they kind of say, they're doing the play. Like, the eye should have contentment where rests is spun out. And they're saying patience, stretched sheets make the bed. Then Shakespeare comes in and says, stop the play. And the actors are like, WTF, and Littlefinger and Bloomtide are like, wait a second, he's trying to stop the play. And Shakespeare says, don't worry, everyone gets a refund, but he can't perform this play. And then the actors are like, why is he acting like this? Get him off the stage. But Littlefinger says, don't worry, I have an action figure with real hair. So she makes the doctor fall asleep. And they carry him off to stage, the actors, and they say, forgive our irksome Will. He's been on the beer and feeling ill. Whichever cracks everybody up. And then, the boiled bubblers are happy again. Let's see. We're at once more. Oh, wait, that's the other page. Okay, so then the doctor and Martha are on All's Hollows Street. They say, geez, which house is it? And Martha goes, this doesn't make any sense. It's 1599, but I'm from the future. She goes, so they couldn't have succeeded. And the doctor goes, well, how do I explain the infinite temporal flux? He goes, oh, Back to the Future. It's the same as Back to the Future. She goes, the movie? This might have been one of the funniest lines I've ever heard. He goes, no, the novelization. And he goes, yeah, the film. He goes, Marty McFly goes back in time, changes history. And she goes, oh, and then he fades away. She goes, am I going to fade? He goes, yeah, if we don't get this right, we got to figure out which house. And then a door just opens for them. He goes, oh, which house? Hardy har. Which was funny. Then we see candles. They go upstairs, and Lilith's waiting for him. The doctor goes, oh, you're expecting us, eh? And she goes, yep. And Martha goes, I'll just name her Carrier Night. And it doesn't work. Lilith says, it only works once. And she goes, by the way, go to sleep, Martha Jones. So Martha falls asleep. And the doctor goes, how could you do that? And she goes, weird, I can only put her to sleep. She goes, she's somehow out of her time. And you don't have a name. Why would a man hide his title in such despair? But she goes, I do know one name that makes your heart ache. He goes, the names won't work. She goes, yeah. She goes, Rose, North Wind Blows. And he goes, Rose gives me energy. He goes, where did you Carrier Knights go anyway? Backstory time. She goes, okay, well, the Eternals got rid of us. And then Shakespeare brought us in through his imagination. And when he was down, the combination, he goes, well, how many? Just 3, but tonight we're going to bring everyone else in and, live on this planet. It'll be ours. And the doctor goes, well, it sounds like you're busy, but you got to get past me. And Lilith goes, no problem, but you're very handsome. And he goes, you're not going to be able to charm me, but she's taken his hair for an action figure. He goes, what's that? She goes, souvenir. And he goes, give me back my hair. And then she starts to fly. And then she goes, go to sleep, doctor. Doctor falls asleep. And Martha wakes up. Oh, first the doctor goes, I can't believe this. He goes, that's a DNA replicator. But then Martha grabs the doctor. She goes, oh, 2 hearts beat as one. And the doctor goes, yeah, but I'm not used to having just one heartbeat as one. So pat my back, pat my side. Lovely. Then he says, wait, let me see. He has 2 funny lines. Oh, doctor looked at the cauldron, back to the old ways, busy schedule. I forgot. She wanted to think, I don't know, I liked it because the doctor saw Shakespeare in the cauldron. But he goes, lovely. And then he goes, boom. Oh, bada boom ba. Bada boom ba. I love that. And he goes, let's go to the globe. So then she flies out. Oh, wait. Yeah. Two hearts now, one lovely. Bada boom ba. To the show, the play. Pish. Who says pish? I don't know. Let me look. Then we're back at the theater. Lilith shows up at the theater. And she says, Dr. and Martha are dealt with. Let's get this on. And they're getting ready for the end of the play. Then Martha and the doctor are trying to run, but they can't find the right direction. One of the performers says, pish, it's out of season. Swanish sight of a woman's love. And then they say, okay, this is it. And then the performer says, betwixt Dravidian shores and linear 5930167 point, and I won't say the last number just in case. And that's Grove Rexel 4, co-rate and crystal activate. Form of swirling crows, and then a form of swirling crows, like a portal of swirling crows opens. And they start swirling around. Obviously, everybody's like, that's not good for any of us who weren't expecting a portal of swirling crows. That's inconvenient. Meanwhile, the doctor and Martha can kind of see it, and they say, that's a portal of swirling crows. That's strange. That's a character named Littlefinger. And Martha says, don't worry about it. And he says to the stage door, maybe it's just special effects. Is there clapping? I think everybody's clapping at first because they say, what in the heck? Oh, yeah, no, everybody's kind of running around. There's a crystal ball. Oh, all the Boyle and Bubblers are very happy. Will's asleep. He goes, doctor goes, I thought you were going to stop the play. He goes, I fell asleep backstage. Let's see. Yeah, crystal ball, crows, laughs, crow whirlwind, special effects. Shakespeare slowly is waking up. And they say, don't rub your head too much. You'll go bald, the doctor says. That's my cue. And then the Boyle and Bubblers are like, this is it. This is our big moment. And the doctor runs out on stage. Martha and Shakespeare follow him. And Lil says, the doctor? He goes, well, you're going to have to watch this. All our crows are going to take over. She quotes a play. And then the doctor says, Will, this is your moment. He goes, what do I do? And he goes, use your words. Shape of the globe gives words power. You're the wordsmith, the one true genius, only clever enough human to do it. And he goes, what words? I got no words ready. He goes, you're William Shakespeare. He goes, yeah, but this is carrier nights. I don't even speak their words. And then the doctor goes, you got to trust yourself. He goes, when you're writing, the words come like magic, words of right sound, shape, and rhythm, words that last forever. That's what you do. You choose the perfect words to do it, improvise. And it kind of like this is like a Shakespearean improv rap battle. I guess is the closest way I could describe it. And so then Shakespeare says, there's like all this swirling crows and red light, special effects, a fog machine. And Shakespeare goes, close up this din of boil and bubble. We'll close up your little toil and trouble. You steal my ideas, play with my action figure. But my doting doctor tells me I'm more than a toy. And Lilith goes, these are powerful words. He goes, carrier nights, cease your show between the points. And he says, I need that reverse number. The doctor says, 761390. And so Shakespeare says, 761390. They didn't do the thing. And he goes back to like a tinker, go back to polishing things like a tinker. And he goes, I say to thee, And then he says, Shakespeare goes, what's my line? And Martha goes, expelloramus. And he says, what? And doctor says, expelloramus. And Shakespeare says, expelloramus. And doctor says, thanks, JK. And then all the crows start going away. They say, we're going to fly back to the cauldron. We liked it better there anyway. All the scripts kind of start to fly away too. Then they realize, oh wait, the cauldron's within the, what do you call that thing? The crystal ball. So they say, okay, let's all fly into the crystal ball. All the crows, everybody. The audience is stunned because then everything goes off and vanishes. And at first they're all just like sitting there like, what just happened? And Martha goes, I think they thought that was special effects. And doctor goes, well, Love's Labor 1 is gone. All the copies. Oh, and Shakespeare goes, your effect is special indeed, Martha. And she goes, that's not a very good line. Then they all bow to the audience who's, clapping and amazed. Minds blown. It's not your best line, she says, I thought. I mean, the way she said it, but I thought that was appropriate. We see the crystal ball was left in their seats. All the carrier knights are now in the crystal ball. The doctor goes and gets it, which has to be some sort of thing of like, it'll return. Then the next day, Shakespeare and Martha are sitting on a bench with the crystal ball, and they're kind of exchanging jokes. Let's see and I say a heart for a heart and a deer for a deer. Martha says, I don't get it. And he goes, well, what's a joke for you? She goes, Shakespeare walks into a pub, and the landlord says, oi, mate, you're barred. And he goes, I don't understand that one. And he goes, hey, anyway, what do you think about hanging? And she goes, no. And he goes, well, I don't think the doctor knew. He goes, why not entertain a man that definitely likes you, like me? And I think this was I had to look up this line. She goes, I don't know how to tell you this, oh, great genius, but your breath doesn't half stink, which to me means it totally does. It could, because it wasn't a compliment. Or she said, no, thanks, no kissing. Then the doctor comes back and he goes, geez, I got a Sycorax and this neck frilly thing. And the doctor goes, I like the sound of Sycorax. And he goes, how are you feeling? And he goes, well, I got a headache. And doctor goes, put this ruffle on you. Goes, wear it around for a few days. Maybe just keep it on forever. It looks good. And Martha says, well, what's up with the play? And the doctor says, it's gone. And the doctor says, it's gone. I looked everywhere. Every single copy of Love's Labors 1 went up in the sky. And Shakespeare says, well, it was my lost masterpiece. And Martha goes, why don't you write it again? And the doctor goes, no, please don't. Still power in those words. Let's forget them. And Shakespeare goes, oh, I got new ideas. I think about fathers and sons and my son Hamnet. And Martha goes, Hamnet? And he goes, oh, yeah, that was my boy's name, Hamnet. And she goes, Hamnet. And he goes, yep. Doctor goes, okay, we got to get going. I'm going to put this crystal ball in the attic of the TARDIS. Very much like Superman 2 or 3. With the prism thingamajig. That's the plan with it, because it's very similar to that. He goes, Martha's got to get back to Fredonia. And then Shakespeare kind of says, I could see through everything. He goes, you're going to go back and travel through time and space. And doctor goes, what do you mean? He goes, you're from another world, like the carrier knights. Martha's from the future. I figured it all out. And the doctor, again, this is like Shakespeare love. He goes, geez, you're incredible. Shakespeare goes, we're alike in many ways, doctor. And he goes, let me give you a little verse, a little sonnet for my lady. Shall I compare these to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. Then the actors come in. They go, Will, you won't believe it. She's here. We're the talk of the town, and she heard about it last night, and she wants us to perform the show again. And Martha goes, who? And they go, Her Majesty has arrived. And actually, it's really nice. Like, the globe is open to the sun, or it just has really good lighting, so it looks really cool. And then there's, the music. And the queen comes in full garb, like out of a movie. And the doctor goes, Elizabeth the First? And she goes, Doctor? The doctor goes, what? I don't know if that was which Elizabeth it was in last season, but she goes, you are, she goes, remember when you ruined my croquet game and my card game? And the doctor goes, oh, yeah, we got to get out. She goes, yeah, you still owe me something. And so the doctor says, Martha, we got to roll. And the queen says, nope, but place the doctor. And so then he goes, never mind, we'll see you. Thanks, Will. And the queen says, stop that precocious doctor or whatever. I don't know what she says, but they run after the doctor. Martha, Shakespeare's cracking up. He thinks it's the funniest thing he's ever seen. The doctor is also having a lot of fun. Like, he's laughing. And Martha goes, what did you do? And he goes, I don't know. I don't even think I met her yet. He goes, that's time travel for you, but you can't wait to find out. And then they get to the TARDIS. He opens the door and he goes, that's something to look forward to. And then they go into the TARDIS and the episode comes to a close. Good night. All right. I want to thank everybody that became a patron recently. Chase, Leah, and Craig. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Jamie, Christina, and Jessica. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Susan, Lauren, and T. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Bernadette, Amy, and Margaret. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Sausageo, Megan, and Joe. Thanks, and good night. Maureen, Ryan, and Tiago. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Olivia, Kristen, and Heidi. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Gretchen, Sammy, and Emily. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Becca, Aaron, and Ryan. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Kelly, Leith, and Julie. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Z, Shar, and Kevin. Thanks, and good night. Maddie, Michelle, and Christine. Thank you. Thanks, good night. Alice, Kai, and Elle. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Mary Beth and Madeline. Thanks, and good night. And Haley. Thank you. Thanks, and good night. Thanks, everybody, for supporting the show. Sleep With Me exists as a free podcast because the support we get from listeners on Patreon and people that support the sponsors. And we are able to grow as a show by people simply spreading the word, just letting somebody know about the podcast, show them how to listen. So I appreciate that as well. And speaking of letting you know about podcasts, here's a podcast I want you to know about. Hey, everybody, this is Scooter. And right now I don't have any other podcasts to tell you about, but I did want to tell you about our fundraising we're doing for Water Wheel Foundation between now and July 1st. And here's basically what I'm doing is as you're drifting away or getting more comfortable. I'm trying to raise money for the Water Wheel Foundation. You could find out more at sleepwithmepodcast.com/waterwheel. And they're a foundation created by the band Fish to support a bunch of different charitable causes. And they've been doing a lot of positive fundraising over the past few months. But here's the fun part of this fundraiser. If we get enough people to support this cause, I'm going to give myself a home perm. And yeah, so if by July 1st, 500 people support the Water Wheel Foundation and then tag me on either Twitter or Instagram, I'll give myself a home perm. And now I know not everybody that's listening uses Instagram or Twitter. And I'm at Dearest Scooter on all of those. But if 500 people, if 1 out of every 10 people that support Water Wheel like it would be on Twitter or Instagram. So go ahead and support them. You could let me know through some other means too, but or just support them and feel good about supporting, or you can just support them and just really feel good about it. But that's sleepwithmepodcast.com/waterwheel. And then if you're on Twitter or Instagram, let me know about it and tag Waterwheel, because that also raises the foundation's profile and helps them get more people involved. Thanks so much and good night.